another episode of Commercial Property Roadshow. You're here with Helen Tarrant, and today I'm actually going to talk about one of these topics on what is passive income? What is positive cash flow? It seems so natural and easy for people who are in the commercial real estate business or idea or investor to just go, well, that's just natural. What your tenant pays you, you pay the bank, and the rest is for you to keep. But if you're coming from a residential point of view, you actually are struggling with this concept of what exactly is passive income. And most people get it wrong. Most people think passive income is when you put in the money and you're able to support the property. It gives you about $100 a week because you managed to put a lot more money into the property, and now it's neutral because over the years you've held it for 5 years and now you're getting some income. That's not really positive cash flow, and it's not passive income. So I want to really clarify that concept because you really need to understand that concept before we move forward on how you should invest in commercial real estate, right? So number one, what exactly is passive income in property? So let's imagine you're buying $1 million property, and in residential you're putting in $200,000. And obviously there's some cost, but let's disregard that for the moment. You're putting $200,000 and you're getting an 80% loan, getting an $800,000 loan, right? Now the $800,000 loan obviously have an interest rate attached to it. Now that interest rate for most people could be a 5% or a 6%, right? In this current market, it could be 7.5%, right? Depending on how you're getting your finances, right? So 5%, that's $40,000, and at about it's about $48,000 on the $800,000 if it is 6%, right? So at the market at the moment, it's mostly about 6%. So it could be $48,000 trending upwards. So let's give it a round number and say it's $50,000. Now, that means that the residential property you're buying right now in this market have to give you $1,000 a week coming in from rent from that property in order for you to pay the mortgage. But then what about all the things on top of that? If you're buying $1 million, you're buying a house right now, and that may not be possible if you're in Sydney or Melbourne. But in Brisbane, you can definitely buy a house for $1 million. Sunshine, Gold Coast, in Adelaide, ACT, you can buy $1 million house, right? In Sydney, you can probably still buy $1 million, but it's going to be very far away, like 100 k's out of Sydney. But that aside, what you can do is that you now have $50,000 you got to pay, right? If you get $1,000, which for most residential properties, they're not going to get $1,000. There's a $2 million house that's run down next door to me in Turramurra in Sydney, and they're renting that out for $970. That's a $2 million house. So if your $1 million house, at best, you probably maybe $700, maybe $750 if you did it really well, right? Let's call it $700 or $750. That's about $35,000 to $40,000. So you're short about $10,000. But on top of that, you've got your council rates, and you've got insurance, landlord insurance, management fees, etc., right? So that's probably another $15,000. So overall, to support this property is $65,000. You've only got $35,000 coming in, or $40,000 coming in, right? And it's $65,000 to support it. So you're probably $25,000 negative. Now that's $500 a week that's coming out of your own pocket. Now that's negative cash flow. Switch that around. What does positive cash flow mean? Because most people think, okay, well, at the moment I'm negative cash flow, but then over the next 5 years, I'm holding the property. During that 5-year period, I'm going to put more money in. I'm just going to put more money in until a time where my rents have gone up. My rents have increased over the next 5 years. So it's now no longer $750. It is now $1,000, right, a week, or maybe $1,100 a week. And the interest rates come down. So I'm actually paying 5% on the interest rates. And therefore, it's $40,000. And now I've got $51,000. And I've put in some more money, my own money in there. And now I'm neutral. So my property is neutral. And then the next step is that, my property gives me $50 a week or $100 a week because I've topped in more money over time. The rents start to catch up. Now, most people think that is positive cash flow. But let me make this clear for you. That's not positive cash flow. You've just have $300,000 of your money trapped into that property that's giving you absolutely nothing in return in terms of cash flow. Yes, it's given you growth, right? That $1 million property may be worth 1.5, 1.7 in 10 years time, right? But it's given you no cash flow, no return cash flow wise on your money. This is where positive cash flow concepts are very different. What positive cash flow concept is, $1 million purchase, I'm getting a 7% return, so $70,000 in cold hard cash coming into my bank account. $70,000 after all the outgoings, so the council rates, the insurance, the management fees, all being paid. Now, on $1 million purchase, if I was going to get, if I'm putting my $200,000 in, I'm getting my $800,000 as a mortgage of 6%, that's $50,000. My $70,000 pays for the $50,000 and have $20,000 left to go into my pockets, right? Now, that is positive cash flow. That is money return of that $200,000. That is the return on the investment of the $200,000 you put in, and your cash flow is $20,000. So that's 10%, what they call a cash on cash return, which means that is true positive cash flow. But the next level up of positive cash flow is that, let's say the $200,000 was a drawdown of equity, right? Drawdown based on a residential property you have that's increased in value, that $200,000. So you still have to service it, and that's at 6%, right? So overall, the $1 million is all borrowed, just $200,000 from your resi, the $800,000 from a commercial loan, right? And that's, and LVRs vary between commercial and residential. That's a different story, but that way. So that's 100% borrowed. That's $60,000 on a 6% interest. So that's $60,000. Now you're getting $70,000 in. You need to pay $60,000 to support or both loans. You're still left with $10,000. And that $10,000 is true positive cash flow, true passive income. Passive income after all your debts are serviced, all your outgoings are serviced, and money straight into your pocket that you can use whatever you like. You don't need to save for a rainy day. Use it towards your lifestyle. That's a holiday for most families, at $10,000. That is repayments on a car, could be a minor kitchen reno, bathroom reno. Like, these are things you can really use. That positive cash flow, what it does is it puts money on the table to support your lifestyle. Equity looks beautiful on paper, but it isn't going to pay the bills, isn't going to feed your family, and positive cash flow will. Right? And true positive cash flow is not $50 or $100 a week. It's $200, $500, $1,000, $500,000 a year, or a month, depending on what you want to achieve, right? That's what true passive income is money that's really sustainable and tangible that you can use towards a goal or to replace your income. And that's the fundamental difference between commercial real estate and residential, is that the idea of passive income is very, very different. If you have to service, or if it became positive because of the amount of money you put into the deal, then it's not true passive income. It only becomes true passive income, positive cash flow, when the income coming from the property can service the loan and the deposit, the cost of the deposit in full, plus all the outgoings, and give you money left over. That is true passive income and positive cash flow. And that is the income that is going to allow you to go again for the next deal, allow you to refinance for the next deal, allow you to draw down on more equity. That is the cash flow the banks look at to add on to your income, so that you can have more servicing. That is the cash flow that is going to set you free. So if you want to find out more how you can attain that through commercial real estate, reach out to me, helentarrant.com, unicorn.com.au. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and tell me what other topics you want me to cover, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye for now.